hey, Tyler, you want to get your ear pierced? She's like, okay.
Dear Shandy.
Welcome back to another Dear Shandy Bachelor in Paradise recap, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
Doing okay. How are you?
I'm asking me again.
Yeah.
Getting in the
How's it
habit.
going?
You felt insecure when I made fun of you last time. I'm doing well. You had a
Well, that's great
birthday
to hear.
yesterday, so we celebrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good. You did a good job.
Did I?
But the universe did a bad job in making it my birthday.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, whenever people are like, it's my birthday, it's time to celebrate it.
Yeah.
A la cat, actually. I don't really get it.
I don't-
Everyone has a birthday every year.
The last birthday I was excited about was when I was 10. Because it was double digits. We've talked about this.
Oh, have we talked about it on the podcast though?
I think we have. I think you have.
Oh, really?
I haven't talked about it yet. So you had your turn. Now I'm going to talk about it.
Okay, all right.
No, but I when I turned 10, I was like, oh, double digits. And I got to double digits. And then I immediately that night after I had all my presents and like, I think I had some like friends over for like a birthday party.
Okay.
I went to sleep and I was in bed like, oh, what a good birthday. Then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Ooh. Oh, imagining 10-year-old you imagining that is really
it's
cute.
horrible.
I distinctly remember the morning of my 10th birthday because I had been looking forward to it too. And my dad, this really gives an idea of his sense of humor. He's like, happy birthday, Sharleen. And I was like, yay. And he was like, you're double digits now. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you'll never be single digits ever again. And I was like,
It's classic, Stephen.
yeah, I started bawling on the morning of my 10th birthday.
It's so sad. I actually think there could be a club of people who got depressed on their 10th birthday and they would all get along with each other.
Oh, that's perfect. Shandy's comment below if you also were depressed at some point on your 10th birthday. Okay, that was
That's
a very
fun party to get together.
that was a very Q&A-ish tangent, Andy. Shall we get going recapping episode 8 of BIP?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we get the opening song, and I have to mention, I thought Michael's little boat in the water, so Michael's the newcomer, I thought it was kind of cute. And Andy, when I said that, you said, wow, your bar for cute is low. I appreciate when someone does anything.
You're right. It was something.
Anything at all.
It was something.
Yeah, and it was self-deprecating. I mean, he's like a good-looking, worked-out guy. He could have just like struck a pose, and instead he's like playing with a little toy boat in the water.
You know, you've pulled me over to your side.
Ah, great. We're off to a great start today. So we pick up with ridiculous suspense music because we're being led to believe that Michael might not pick Olivia on this date, but that's ridiculous. He obviously does. And Olivia in her ITM is talking about how she, get the ring ready. She's definitely going to marry him, blah, blah, blah. And then it turns out she doesn't know his name. She can't remember it.
It is Michael, though. To her credit, Michael is a name everyone forgets.
Yeah, I think that if your name is too common or too weird, like no one ever remembers my name.
You know what name I always remember? I've made a note of this in my whole life.
What?
There's one name I always remember. Troy.
Okay.
Yeah, never forgotten a Troy.
Okay.
Even if I met them for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
10 years later, I remember their name.
It stands out, doesn't
Yeah.
it? I've
Troy.
met one Troy in my life.
All right.
How many Troys have you met?
2.
Good story.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, you know who I have to give credit to, in addition to Olivia for being, I mean, this was really funny. She can laugh at herself for not knowing. But I think she has really good chemistry with her ITM producer.
Yeah.
I feel like it's taken me too many episodes to realize that.
They're going to be friends after
Yes.
this. They're going to go out drinking.
You can tell that
share stories,
they're being
sad
invited
stories.
to each other's weddings.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, Olivia blames the loud waves for not catching Michael's name. And now she and Michael go on their date. This is basically them in some sort of drum circle, I
Yeah.
wrote with a question
I
mark.
feel like they just sort of patched this together. Like anyone in this neighborhood play drums.
Yeah, it felt kind of random, but
Yeah.
they seem to enjoy their
Yeah,
time
it was a
together.
good time.
Very good dancing chemistry.
No.
I thought.
Oh, tremendous. Every time I see that, I'm like, damn it. I can't do that.
No,
I just can't.
me neither.
I can dance by
You
myself.
know who we are? We're Avon.
We're Avon.
Yes.
No, I'm not, but I'm not as good as Avon is when he dances. I can't even pull that out.
Did you think Avon was good?
Yeah, but it's better than me.
Avon's better than me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that's why we're bitter about dancing, is that we just suck at it. Okay, so back on the beach now, Kat and John Henry are on a daybed. I gotta say, this was a shockingly sweet moment. Pretty much they're just kind of talking about how into each other they are and how they really want to see where this goes. Kat seems super into him.
Yeah.
Like more so than I think people expected.
Like non-game playing into him.
I just wanted a rose into him. And he says he spoke with Olivia and they closed that chapter. And in her ITM, Kat says that she hasn't navigated paradise well. I mean, this is obviously an understatement, but I also was kind of shocked to hear this coming out of her mouth.
Self-awareness, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the first moment of real self-awareness we've seen from her.
And it's so predictable, too, that this show does this.
Oh, yeah.
First, she's, a romantic lead, and then she becomes the villain. And then it's like, okay, now she's really into the guy, and she's showing some self-awareness.
Oh, they keep twisting you around.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want you to ever get comfortable.
They don't.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you just get one villain throughout.
True.
And isn't it amazing how quickly you just have to keep up? You're like, oh, okay. Oh, I like them now. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And by the way, I just want to make it clear, if they had changed the music and made villain music on John Henry,
100%.
they could have easily made him the villain. But no one's pointing fingers at John Henry.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to talk about that now? I do find this very interesting.
It's so bizarre. John Henry completely dumped Olivia.
Yeah. To go with
the real villain.
Yeah.
The not likable person on the island, the person who screwed over people. And he did it with aplomb. Without a care in the world. Yeah, sure, he apologized to Olivia, but I mean, whatever. That was just the least he could do. And no one pointed fingers at him. Nobody.
I mean, it reminds me of in real life when there's another woman or something.
Yeah.
And people want to blame the other woman.
Yes.
And sure, you can somewhat, but the person who's really to blame is the person who cheated with the other woman, you know?
Just because Kat sucks doesn't make John Henry a good guy.
No. And look, we like John Henry.
John Henry's great. Yeah. I don't have any bad feelings.
I just think it's interesting how
saying.
It's only Kat getting the brunt of that when John Henry betrayed Olivia way more than Kat did.
Yeah. It's
way more.
And it's really a reflection. You see this a lot in the real world. Like the guy sometimes just squirms out of it.
Yes.
And the woman is blamed.
Oh.
The cheater
like
is blamed.
I said,
the stealer, the homewrecker.
I just said
Do you ever hear of a guy called a homewrecker? Have you ever heard of a man called a homewrecker?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I did say the other woman, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Apparently that wasn't explicit enough. I mean, we like John Henry.
Yeah, we do.
And I think he's just more delicate. I mean, the whole point of this ITM is Kat saying that she loved how he handled the whole situation with grace, which I think that's how he got out of getting villain music.
Yes.
But the action is still the same. And I just think it's interesting how he's not seemingly getting any flack whatsoever for it.
That's
anyway.
a pretty face goes a long way with a man.
But the thing is, Olivia's
with a man.
What do you mean?
A man, a good-looking man.
Oh.
Yeah, gets away with a lot, just like a good-looking woman. But a good-looking man gets away with more sometimes.
Oh, you're right. I think a good-looking woman more easily will be construed as
put it this way,
being evil or whatever.
Put it this way, a show that's watched by predominantly women.
Yeah. Good-looking
men will get away with a little more than good-looking women.
100%. Anyway, this was sort of shockingly sweet. It's just funny how last week it was so chaotic and now they're just do 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 do.
Yeah. Of course, they do that all the time. Just when you think it's going to explode, it's
suddenly peaceful. Okay, on the date, Michael and Olivia toast to being present in the moment, and Olivia says that paradise has knocked her down, but keeping her chin up has led to beautiful things.
Oh,
I love that.
That's nice.
And they make out, and in her ITM, Olivia jokes that she doesn't want to bring him back to the beach so others can look at or talk to him.
I mean, she's got PTSD.
Yeah. I do maintain, though, it was really just John Henry.
It was
because I don't think the will thing, I stand by what we said in that first episode.
Yeah.
I just don't, one makeout does not a relationship
The will does not count.
Yeah. Rachel and Blake talk. She says she's not sure how to approach Tanner since she wonders if the rose he gave her was a friendship rose. And in her ITM, she says she doesn't know what he wants. And I thought this was interesting. And I put this on him. I also would not have guessed that he was into Rachel.
Yeah, unless there was something that production didn't show us. It seems like he didn't really give that much. The only thing that I felt I knew about Tanner was that he was really into Davia. And boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. Well, then they didn't give us any information. Tanner's getting a weird edit, isn't he?
Weird edit. It's it's almost like they're trying to protect him from something
or
or trying to screw him.
Yeah, It's one or
I
the
can't
other.
tell.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the only purpose Tanner serves is to be fought over among women or to suddenly be this sort of like scorned romantic lead that we have no context for. The whole thing with him and Rachel in this episode for me came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Tanner just is not very emotive.
So good looking though.
That's all you need.
It's too bad he can't act. Guy could have been a great actor.
Tanner?
I mean, I'm assuming he can't act. Was a guy like that, if he was good at acting, would be an actor.
Oh. Okay, so Jordan from Rachel's season and Tayler from Charity's season. I mean, he went home on night one. Andy, you said, who the hell is that? But we do know who Jordan is.
Yeah, we like Jordan. I was a big fan.
Big Jordan fan.
And he's still one of the biggest mysteries for me. How he got sent home by Rachel. I don't know what he did wrong.
Well, it would seem Rachel feels the same way, but we'll get to that in a second. The highlight here is Jesse asking Tayler how excited he is to be, entering paradise. And he seems befuddled by the question. And he's just like, very excited. Andy, you said Hollywood is calling for this guy.
I'll say this about the people on this show. They cast well. People look at the show and they're like, they judge people for this, they judge people for that. But what they don't realize is that when you have a bunch of cameras on you, and look, this could be a lot of narcissism and self-absorption that allows them to do this.
Yeah, I feel the same about social media. Like you could be really successful on social media because you are
because
narcissistic.
You're shameless. Yeah. But let's assume they're not shameless for a minute.
Okay.
This is not easy to be a Jordan. Like to be that natural and likable, or not. I'm just picking him because we're talking about him.
I mean, I'm fine with you picking him. I love Jordan.
Jordan is just like, you're like, that's a regular guy talking regular stuff and seeming likable. And then you see a guy like Taylor and you're like, what's wrong with that guy? He's got like he's supposed to diarrhea he's holding in? Like, what's happening to him?
True.
And the fact is, most people would be Taylor. Most regular, just pull a person off the street, they're Taylor.
Yeah.
They're nervous. They don't know what to do. They're like, their mouth is, they can't move their tongue right. Like they're freaking out.
Totally.
And you got to kind of respect this. I mean, it's a weird respect.
Yeah.
But you got to respect how comfortable some people can be in this environment.
Totally. I completely agree. Well, Jordan is like, Rachel, I love this. How he pulls her first. He honors their history together and he just wants to catch up with her.
You know what he is? He's a Southern gentleman.
Jordan?
Yeah.
Is he Southern?
I don't know. He seems Southern.
He does not seem Southern to me.
Really? I always assume race car drivers are all Southern.
Oh, I have no idea. I could Google it, but instead I'm going to tell the Shandys to tell us.
We're so lazy we can't even Google anymore.
I love how there was no hesitation. He's like, Rachel, let's catch up.
Yeah.
And then Taylor's like, Kat, can I pull you?
Yeah.
We're shown Tanner seeming a little nervous about Jordan and Rachel talking now. And in his ITM, he says he hasn't had the chance to show her how serious he is about exploring things.
The Tanner we're seeing on TV, I can promise you, is not the Tanner that exists in real life.
Oh, I so agree with that. I think he's being careful.
And in that case, he is a good actor.
Okay, Rachel and Jordan talk. She quickly apologizes for sending him home so quickly on her season. He didn't deserve that. This is super cute because he's also really sweet about it. He's like, don't worry about it.
More good Rachel.
Rachel in this episode, I mean, I'm completely won over. I love this Rachel.
She's a completely different person.
In her ITM, Rachel says she's looked back and thought, what if about him before? And she says she genuinely wants to go on this date with him. And Jordan gets a date card now, and he promptly invites Rachel on it.
Of course.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love them together.
Yeah, I ship it.
The music suddenly gets very intense as we hear a ton of Tanner Franken biting, including what I thought was a gem, him saying a guy can only handle so much rejection. Yeah. This guy gets rejected a lot, as we've seen on this season.
The
Ridiculous.
the princess and the pea. That's what it reminds me of. He's complaining about the pea.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Tanner, Olivia, and Blake lay on the beach. The only reason I'm mentioning this, they're chatting about their prospects. I just love this friend group.
Yeah, it's a good group.
I love this little trio.
I agree.
Okay, Jordan and Rachel are on their date now. They join a tantric yoga class. And the highlight is when he takes off his shirt. She says, have you been preparing for this? And he says, a little bit. Jordan.
It's great.
I'm only upset we didn't get to see more of him this episode.
Yeah.
He is fighting for the top spot for me.
Jordan. Ooh.
I just know Blake better.
I would accept that. accept that.
His way about him.
He can't miss. You notice how Jordan never misses? He doesn't necessarily hit it.
He's not even trying to take the shot. He is.
He's just hitting singles. Every pitch. single.
But
in the
even
gap.
but
Single.
even to say like he's hitting, I feel like he's just there. Like he's there. He's
present. He's Jordan.
And we agreed, Andy, that he has a 90s vibe about him.
So 90s. You know what he's like? He's a better looking version of Ted in Bill and Ted's. Or is it Bill? Which one's Ted? Is Ted Keanu Reeves or Bill? I always forget.
I do not know.
I
what
assume
you're talking
Bill,
about.
the first name is Keanu, he's a bigger star, but back then he wasn't. When I saw that movie in the movie theater, sadly, I didn't know who Keanu Reeves was.
Really?
Yeah. I was and after the movie, I was like, was
that from the 90s or was that 80s? That was 90s?
It was late 80s.
Oh, we're talking about the 90s because I do not know them. I know the movie you're talking about only because I think it was recently remade.
It went into the 90s. Like there was Bill and Ted 2 went into the 90s. Okay. The guy, his sidekick, he reminds me of a better looking, less goofy version of that guy.
Wow, that's specific.
No offense to the guy whose name I don't know. You're a very good looking guy, good actor. Excellent.
There is sexual tension between Rachel and Jordan as they face each other and they get closer and closer and closer. And Andy, you were like, no, don't do it. And then they kissed. You mainly wanted them to enjoy the tension.
Yeah.
Why break it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always such a rush.
Always rushed.
They chat and agree. It feels like a first date. He says he liked her then, but now she seems happier. And we get that famous shot of them making out in the water and then the wave comes and hits them, blah, blah, blah. This is cute. I love them together.
Totally. And by the way, I just want to, this is an aside, totally unrelated. I'm pretty sure it's against the rules to kiss during a tantric yoga session.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it defeats the purpose.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're supposed to like not engage in any of the things. You're just supposed to feel it without the touch. It's the anticipation.
Well, they're touching in all the ways.
Yeah, but not the sexual
Not with the
ways.
lips.
Yeah.
The lips can't
no
touch.
No wet touches in tantric yoga. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'm guessing if I was running tantric yoga, I'd be disappointed. The only reason they let them get away with it is because it was The Bachelor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a sign of weakness.
Yes.
Well, I got to say, I like Rachel and Jordan together arguably the most, like even better than Rachel and Brayden.
I agree.
I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I just love them together. And I really hope she does not pass him over in favor of Tanner, although it seems like she might.
Jenny Kane for that hardcore wardrobe gain.
Hardcore. Is it hardcore, Andy?
It is hardcore.
It is a hardcore wardrobe gain. I have to admit that's not incorrect because you look very dashing in your Jenny Kane sweater. Your wool half zip. Look at that.
Luxurious.
Look at that. That's the nicest sweater you own by a long shot.
Look, I bought for this sweater, dyed in front of it 100 sweaters that were not that great.
Dyed in front of it.
Yeah. This is the final standing sweater. A long battle, an epic battle.
Yeah, I've said before that Jenny Kane are I've made it clothes, and I feel like you have arrived in that sweater.
Yeah, I feel more important.
And meanwhile, I, of course, am wearing the cashmere cocoon cardigan. It's not my first time wearing this cardigan in life, but also on this podcast. I own it in 3 colors. So obsessed with this cardigan am I. And all their pieces are just designed so intentionally. Like everything, every fit, every cut. It's just simplicity done right. And let's talk the time of year we are at. It's, you know, it's a time where you might have stockings to stuff.
And you know, how many people haven't gotten a sweater as a gift during the holidays?
Oh, totally.
That's like the go-to gift, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, it's a sweater.
Uh-huh.
But how many times you open that box and you're like, oh, it's a sweater.
Yes. No, I honestly think Jenny Kane as a gift is it. That's the nicest sweater you can give as a gift.
Yeah, and
It's almost too nice.
Yeah, it's a gift where the person's going to be like, whoa, like, do I owe you something for this?
So gift yourself and your loved ones the best gift of all, Jenny Kane.
Our listeners get 25% off your first order when you go to jennykane.com/dearshandy.
Spell JENNIKAYNE.com, jennykane.com/dearshandy. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about.
Happy, 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 homie, homie, homie needs a lomi, 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 lomi.
I knew you were cooking up something over there, but that really just is not what I was expecting. But you know what? A happy homie does need a lomi, Andy.
And we've touched on this before, but it's the easiest way to give back to nature what nature gives you. The right way.
Yes, because Lomi is an electric countertop composter. Usually composting takes a very long time. This is electric. It sits on your countertop. You put in all your food scraps, so the parts of the vegetables or fruits that you don't eat or leftovers. There's a lot of crap. Every time you cook, there's stuff left behind that normally goes into your garbage and then gets taken out to the dump and over time becomes methane Andy, tell us about methane.
The most harmful greenhouse gas.
Yes. So over time, you can do that, or you can put that in your Lomi, and then with the push of a button, one sole, very satisfying button. You love this button.
I mean, it's the button that ends the action movie.
They knew what the people wanted.
Oh, yeah.
And then with the push of that button, all that food waste will turn into nutrient-rich soil, which then you can sprinkle on your plants. And look at Andy's plant. This plant is very old, and it's had a resurgence in life and beauty
no joke.
Since Lomi came around.
Yeah, it would be gone. We'd have another plant there.
Aw.
And I'd be sad because, you always long for that first plant.
Doesn't that feel so right that the food waste becomes soil that goes into the earth versus being stuck in a plastic bag that, like, this is the way it should have been all along.
Let nature do its work on its own.
Yes. And composting, I really think that's just one of the best ways or easiest ways or really most impactful ways you can go green. I mean, we're all making little efforts, I should hope. And I am judging if you're not.
Yeah. Lomi is judging you.
I mean, I'm judging. If people are going about their business right now and they're just like, earth be damned, I'm not changing my ways, I'm not doing anything, I'm judging you. And can you think of a more perfect gift than this?
This is the best gift there is.
Yeah.
There's no better gift.
For someone who is interested in gardening or is into cooking or has a green thumb or is just environmentally conscious, it's perfect.
If you get this gift for someone and they don't like it, you should stop being friends with them.
So whether you want to make a positive environmental impact or just grow a beautiful garden, Lomi is perfect for you.
Head to lomi.com/Shandy and use promo code Shandy to get $50 off your Lomi.
That's $50 off when you go to Lomi, LOMI.com/Shandy and use promo code Shandy at checkout. And we thank Lomi for sponsoring this episode. Okay, in the evening now, Avon and Kylie are talking baby names. Her top girl name is Navy. I like this name.
Navy? I thought it was maybe.
Oh, you thought it was maybe?
I thought you said maybe.
I thought you said Navy.
I mean, they're both questionable names. Navy is way better than maybe.
Navy is great.
Navy's that's pretty strong, actually. Maybe is a very bad name.
Isn't that from Arrested Development?
I haven't seen Arrested
I don't know what I'm
Development
talking
in a
about.
while.
I thought you said Navy. I think it's a cute name, but I also think it's very risky to share your baby name
It
on
is.
national television.
Oh, you're right.
Because there is no way no one is going to now steal that baby name.
It's going to be the most popular name of 2024.
I'll link out the Q&A that we're referring to, but there's a really good Q&A question about this,
Oh, yeah.
about a stolen
stealing
baby
names.
name.
That it's going to also spawn other color names. There's going to be like mauve and like teal.
Avon says his girl baby name is Heaven, quote, just because it has his name in it.
What's the second reason?
At the bar, Tanner is complaining to Blake about how all his friends are married or getting married. And it's funny, I remember being his age and thinking things like this.
Yeah.
And it made me wonder how many people rush into that sooner than they might otherwise because they just look around and they feel behind.
A lot.
I think a lot of
it's the
people
number
do.
one Family Feud reason for getting married.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like, it's not a good reason
No, not a
because
good
then when
one.
you get into your 30s, actually a lot of those people get divorced.
You should be proud to be the last unmarried person among your friend group.
I agree.
Yeah.
Andy.
They're all jealous of you. I mean, not us. I'm not jealous of my single. I'm saying other people.
The lady doth protest slightly too much. Okay, Rachel and Jordan return and she promptly chats with Tanner now. Okay, this is where things get super weird. We had to watch this twice. I felt like we were suddenly in this bizarro world. Rachel says she had a great date and she hasn't known what Tanner has been thinking. And he says they have so much fun together. She says she's still trying to figure it out. She says she doesn't want him to think it means she doesn't want to hang out. And then he's like, am I giving uncomfortable vibes? Did you not find this weird?
It's a little
You thought he was
passive
drunk.
aggressive. It was a weird, like mind gamey kind of thing. Something was going on with the way Tanner was talking to Rachel that felt like he was trying to hypnotize her.
You actually want to be with me.
You didn't have fun with Jordan on that date. You didn't kiss in the ocean waves.
He says he promises he's good. And she's like, oh, you've been through a lot. I don't want to add to that. Like, how would she be adding to that? Like, how was he giving uncomfortable vibes?
I
just
didn't
felt
understand anything about this conversation to the point where I can't even talk about it. I have nothing to say. I didn't understand what was going on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you want?
Am I alone?
Do you have things to say?
No, we'll keep going. He says she puts a lot of pressure. Okay, yeah. He says she puts a lot of pressure on herself. And he is like, you've got a lot of walls up. I suppose in relation to the relationship. But what bothered me about this is like, she was like, I haven't known how you have been feeling. She says that in this conversation, and she said it earlier in the same day to suggest that she wasn't getting signals from Tanner. And suddenly when she expresses that and is like, I'm feeling things out, but I don't want you to think I don't want to hang out. He was like, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You have a lot of walls up.
You know what I think this was? If I had to make one stab at analysis, it was extremely low level light gaslighting.
Ooh, that's harsh.
Very low.
Okay.
Like extreme, like he was like telling her the things about the walls and the you know, like not really deciding who to be with.
Yeah.
But that's really kind of Tanner, I think.
So you think Tanner was projecting his own walls?
Yeah, isn't that kind of like an extremely light form of gaslighting?
I mean, I don't even know, because it was hard to even know what his goal was. They end up chatting later, and so it becomes clear that he's into her. But even here, I'm like, what do you want from her?
No, I don't understand.
It's like he was so afraid of rejection that he couldn't just come out and be like, I am interested in you romantically.
Did you notice now apparently I have a lot to say about this.
Okay.
But did you notice that the Tanner, when he's not in the driver's seat, is a completely different Tanner than when he is?
Oh, that's a great point.
Much less cool.
I mean, I think gaslighting is strong. I think
no, it's not. I'm not saying it's like the most benevolent gaslighting.
Yeah,
it's like the lowest form.
It felt more like he was trying to be her friend, but it's hard to do that when you've already expressed like some kind of romantic interest. It's sort of, It did feel like he was like, let me in, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. It just felt odd.
It felt like he was insider trading.
He asks, what would it take for her to dive into something? It's like, how do you know she doesn't want to dive into
Yeah, how
Jordan?
do you know she already didn't dive in? She almost literally just dove in.
He says, what does she want? What does she need? And she seems sort of like bewildered by this conversation. But I think also Rachel really values being seen, like being understood.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why this conversation made me a little uncomfortable, because I think I also would have been susceptible to what he was doing, because it would have felt really like he understood me and saw me. But he ultimately had a motive. You know what I mean? Beyond just wanting to understand her. It felt like his motive was, I want you to choose me.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm not totally disagreeing
It
with
was
you.
like he was under the guise of being altruistic. He was really being selfish, which, you know, look, everyone does that kind of thing all the time.
Yeah.
But it just seemed a little insincere. That's all.
Yeah. Well, we also did think he had been drinking.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
This night, there was clearly, for some reason, everyone let loose. Everyone was drinking a lot.
Rachel heads to the bar where Tayler is, and she's like, oh, I thought it was a friendship roast. She's talking about Tanner.
Like, I'll tell you about friendship, bro.
Yeah, Tayler is fully slurring his speech when he says, he chose you. Meaning he chose you, it wasn't a friendship roast.
I'm kind of into drunk Tayler.
I mean, apparently drunk Tayler gets his ear pierced. So, yeah.
Do you think Braden took advantage of him? He's like, hey, Tayler, you want to get your ear pierced? He's like, okay.
Okay, so Rachel is shocked by this news that Tyler's telling her that, Tanner is choosing you. I just don't think this should be that shocking. Well, not on her, on Tanner. He is not communicating things properly.
I agree.
Tyler and Wells tell her she needs to be honest with herself. She has all these walls up. And
what's with suddenly all the walls? How does everyone know about these walls that Rachel has up?
How, she's allowed to have her.
Everyone has walls.
Yes.
She's already made out with like 4 guys. Why? How many walls does she have up?
Totally. And first she was with Sean, and that didn't really go anywhere. And then she was with Braden, who totally dropped her like.
Yeah, and she dealt with very well.
Yes. I don't understand what Rachel has done wrong. I think Rachel in Paradise has been phenomenal, and apparently the Rachel I like has walls up.
Can I tell you something? I think Rachel is very impressionable. I think if you tell her things about herself, she maybe takes them a little too seriously sometimes. And she can be swayed about how she is about herself. You know what I think her kryptonite is? Insecurity. When she's confident, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And she just needs a little drop of confidence and she flies. Yeah. But when people start telling her like, oh, I think production was like whispering into people's ears, like talk about walls with Rachel. We want to set up this narrative. And I honestly think Rachel's like, oh, do I have walls? She doesn't seem to have walls.
I got to say, the thing about walls is like, I don't think walls are necessarily bad.
Everyone has walls. If you don't have walls, every army invades. They just walk right into your castle. You need walls.
Her walls are part of like life experience. I just don't think she should be pressured in this environment to let them down, especially when with Brayden, she fully let them down and then she got screwed. It's okay. She let her figure it out. I trust that she can.
Honestly, if you said to me, pick someone on this cast who has walls up, Rachel would be dead last.
I completely agree.
Unless we're missing something.
Yeah. Okay, so Rachel finds Tanner to chat, part 2.
And you know who else has walls? Tanner. Okay.
I think you already made that point.
Yeah. Now the word walls doesn't even make sense.
I know,
to
it
me
doesn't
anymore.
look like anything anymore.
Now it's like WALZ. I can't picture how to spell it.
Rachel says she wasn't sure where Tanner stood. She thought it was a friendship rose. He says he's seen everything there through except for this with her, and he's interested. She says she wants to try. She says she felt like she wanted to do all this in the reverse order, starting with friendship. And he's like, oh, I get it now. I understand you. I think that's a very reasonable way to do this.
I agree.
I don't think she's making wrong choices. He says he wants to meet his partner and take over the world and then go home and watch Netflix together, all the things.
It's a good ad for Netflix. And by the way, why does Netflix get a shout out? Do they pay for that?
No, I think Netflix is just iconic. Like, you're not going to be like, oh, yeah, and then after taking over the world, we'll go home and watch Hulu.
Oh.
Although this does air on Hulu. It just doesn't have the same ring. Netflix, it's
so
like
Netflix
the thing
is a
you
household
stream.
name now. Wow, you get to a point where it's just public domain. Like you can say it without paying someone, and no one cares. Like you could say it, no competing brand is worried about it. You just say whatever you want. It's Netflix. It's like Kleenex.
Well, yeah, I think it is like Kleenex. It represents streaming things at home, movies and shows at home.
Yeah, it was like Xerox was first, then it was Kleenex.
Yeah.
Now it's Netflix. How wow? Can you imagine? Can you imagine how cool
Band-Aid.
that is to have a house Band-Aid? Ooh, good one.
Thanks.
Got another one? Charmin came close.
No.
Never quite made it.
No.
Bounty came close. Never quite made it.
Both of those. You're right. Okay.
Crest came close. Never quite made it.
No.
Yeah. Listerine came close.
Listerine
never
came
made
the
it.
closest out of those, I feel like.
Very close.
Yeah.
They were within, they smelled it and then they just fell off.
Can you imagine reaching that point?
It's almost.
Q-tips.
Nice. Oh, nice. Cotton swabs, please. It's obviously a Q-tip. Very good. You're good at this.
I mean, I'm a consumer.
You are.
I'm the consumer in this house. I'm the
You
one
do
who buys the
enjoy
Q-tips.
This is fun. Let's think of one more.
One more.
That's a good one. That's the first one too. It gets $10. Oh, now you're nervous. Shouldn't have said that. I should have been thinking about the word instead of thinking about the bet. Uber. Come on. I'm going to go get an Uber. You say get an Uber even when you mean some other kind of car.
Lyft?
Nah.
No, I'm saying you mean Uber when you
anything. Just like get Uber it. Give me an Uber. Get an Uber. Call an Uber. Even if you're like calling some other brand.
Okay, I will say that's the most recent one. It's not as iconic as Band-Aid or Q-tip or Kleenex.
I 100% agree, but it's still used as a verb.
Okay, you beat me there.
Noun.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, $10.
So Rachel is really wooed by Tanner talking about what he wants.
Yeah.
I don't know what is it about this that rubs me wrong. I think it might be what we were saying about that first conversation. But even this, what he says he wants, it didn't feel specific to her.
No.
It didn't feel like this is what I like about you. This is just what I want. I want someone who I can go to games with and see shows with and eat meals with and take over the world with and make money with and then go watch Netflix
Insert
with.
woman.
Yes.
You know what I think about Tanner?
Yeah.
I think Tanner is of a generation where he looks like that guy from like the 60s or 70s who's like, oh, that guy is like, that's the dreamboat.
Totally.
But he doesn't have the dreamboat core.
Well,
it's just the shell.
I think it's his generation.
Yeah, it's about him. He's not thinking about the partner. He's seeing it from his perspective.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like I can't help but always compare it to, Jess and Blake in that first episode. And he pointed out something that she did with her mouth before she smiled.
Huh.
And I'm not getting that here. And that's what bothers me because I think Jordan is like that with Rachel.
Jordan has the full package. I mean, he may not be the most quirky and edgy and hilarious person ever, but honestly, I don't know. I don't know if you need it. He's got a lot of stuff.
Him.
At least we're seeing it.
We really pick our favorites, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so Rachel's wooed by
He drives race cars.
You keep giving me these jump scares.
Sorry.
Rachel's wooed by the Netflix thing. She says she wants to try if he wants to. He says, yes, he does. Why wouldn't they? They make out. All right. So everyone, look what I was doing. I've been watching this show too much.
So cut.
Everyone plays charades. I thought this was really cute. I wish we saw more stuff like this.
Yeah, this is fun. Everyone having a nice time.
Aaron and Eliza now. He has prepared a room. He asks her to be his girlfriend officially, and she loves this. She says, yes. No. I wrote this as cute, I guess. But you know what I'm missing with Aaron and Eliza? I do think they're really well suited to each other. And here's the thing is, I think what I want is something that exists, but we're just never shown. Playfulness.
I agree.
I never see playfulness between them. It's always just serious.
It's a lot of logistics. Nice, warm, fuzzy logistics.
Yeah.
But it's not a lot of playfulness.
Yeah.
I agree.
I
think we're not seeing the best. We're seeing a really warm, soft, loving Aaron, but we're not seeing like him blossom. Yeah. I want to see Aaron. I know there's something more there.
I think that's partly because he's a little on edge because he's always trying to prove himself to her in the correct
Eliza
way.
is the kind of person who likes a good proving.
I mean, that is her MO. She wants to be proven to. It's hard to be playful when you are constantly trying to prove yourself. Yeah. Okay, so at the bar, Wells is dissing Braden's Indiana Jones hat hard.
Yeah, that was a little too hard. Yeah, it was a little too much.
And here we learn that Braden has pierced Tyler's ear. Do you think this really happened?
Yeah.
Was it not pierced earlier?
No, I think this happened. Why would they there wasn't enough jokety joke about it. There wasn't funny music. It was just like, he pierced my ear.
Well, what I was surprised by is like, how did he have the equipment to do that?
Yeah, what did he do?
He just took a needle?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know what happened. It's weird.
So you think
it's a lie? He didn't pierce his ear?
I'm trying to think back to if Tyler had an earring previously or if he was lying. I don't know.
What is it? Like you could do a thing where you have a magnet? Is that how you do a fake ear piercing thing? The earring?
Oh, yeah. You could do like a clip-on or a magnet, but it looks like a stud. It looked
like he got an ear pierced. And why is Braden carrying around ear piercing equipment?
That's what I mean. Maybe he was given it by production. I can totally see them doing that.
Huh.
I mean, in which case, though, we should have had the footage. I wanted to see that.
Yeah, we got to meet Tyler now just to see if his ear's pierced.
So now Wells reads from the truth box. One of them says John Henry and Kat are going the distance. Kat loves this to the point where I wonder if she had written it herself. And another one says, Tyler, everyone knows you're not that into Mercedes. You'd better come clean because she deserves the truth.
Damn.
Ooh.
And who wrote this?
Do we think one of them did? Seems
You think Tyler wrote it?
Oh my God, can you imagine?
I mean, that would be high level.
He laughs a little too hard at this, and Mercedes laughs awkwardly. And Kat, this is so Kat. It's like her friend Mercedes is like kind of receiving that. And then she's like, I love the truth box now. But for everyone else, she's sorry. I just think it's funny that Mercedes is her friend. Like you would think she'd be like, oh, Mercedes, like I'm worried about her. Yeah. The way she's been worried about me.
Reveling in her own non-terrible truth boxing.
Mercedes starts to spiral now. She wonders if Tyler's just there to hang out with the guys and have fun. And she chats with Kylie and reveals that she and Tyler have been coasting. So this is the first time we're getting any crack in that relationship, except for the time that Tyler made out with her close friend Jess. Yeah. And the consensus here is that Tyler has walls up.
So just quickly before we move on, because I think people want to know, what's your theory about who wrote that note?
I mean, I feel like to know that you would have to know more intricate social dynamics than we can possibly decipher from this edit.
I think it's production.
So you think
I think it's like Wells. Well,
no, Wells is not.
No, I'm saying not Wells, but I'm saying someone using Wells as like the persona for production.
Yeah.
I just think, is that okay? You okay with that?
We'll stop calling them the powers that people just call it Wells.
Yeah, it's a household name for production. But I think that somebody in production got wind. Tyler was probably like, well, this is Mercedes thing is BS. And they were like, oh.
Well, I mean, I don't even think he would have to say that. It was obvious when he made out with Jess that, why would you do that?
Maybe production was just like, well, we saw that. We'll write this note to stir the pot because no one called him out on that. Yeah. Somehow that slipped through.
Yeah.
I think it's production.
I feel like I could see Olivia or Sam doing it. The ones who will say and do the things, they're very active. They make things happen.
Yeah. Could have been. Yeah. I just don't know the relationship.
I don't know if I picture Sam doing it like from the tone, but I can picture Olivia doing it.
Yeah.
But then again, she's not friends with Mercedes, so why would she care about Mercedes?
It's not Olivia. It's production. But it's also so explanatory.
Yeah.
It's not like, ooh, we heard that Tyler may have made out with someone else. It's just like, your relationship with Mercedes is bad and you should end it.
Yeah.
Like,
You're right. It's sort of like a bad script where the lines are always explaining what's going on in the plot.
Yeah, it's too much explaining.
No, that's a good point. Wow, very good analysis, Andy. Okay, so Mercedes chats with Tyler. Going into it, before they even sat down, Andy, you said he's too drunk for this conversation.
Oh, yeah. I've been in this situation. Not exactly, but I'm just saying I've been in this situation where I'm like, oh no, a talk's coming and I'm clearly too drunk. I'm too drunk to even handle getting an Uber. And then I have to have an actual, meaningful, serious conversation. It's just a bad situation.
I feel like you just made a point of using Uber. Like
I did. This whole thing was a ruse to just use that to get my $10.
Tyler basically says he's happy with her. She's beautiful.
No, that's enough. That's enough.
I was not into this. That's
wasn't.
not enough. Like, it's clear that she's trying to have a conversation that goes a little bit deeper. Like, that's first date conversation.
There's drunk Tyler. He's in a bad situation.
When she addresses the distance, like, how would this work in real life? He's just like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And in her ITM, Mercedes is, I think, rightfully pissed. She wants effort.
There's nothing there. Tyler's not
really
interested.
Isn't.
So whoever wrote that note, they didn't write it with a theory. They wrote it with hard evidence. I'm telling you, Tyler told someone like, this is Mercedes is just a placeholder. I'm telling you. But you don't write. That's just so mean-spirited. So Sharleen, it happened again.
What?
I saw you come bounding down the stairs today. And you were wearing this Skims outfit.
Oh.
And for the first time in a few days, I saw you anew.
Had you grown used to me?
I had grown accustomed.
It is funny how whenever I wear anything Skims, this actually happens, by the way. I hope no one thinks that this is something we just do for a Skims ad. Every time I wear a Skims dress, you're like, well, you look cute.
I got to be honest, I am a sucker for Skims. It looks so good.
Oh, thank you, husband. Well, Skims, you guys know I'm a big Skims fan. I have a lot of Skims pieces by now, and I just love them. You want to know something crazy about this fabric, about how much it stretches? I got into this dress through the neckline.
Wow.
I was going to go through the bottom, and I was like, oh, it's because it's like a maxi, right? And I was like, oh, it's kind of a long way to go. And I was like, oh, let me look at the neck. Wide open. I just put it on. That's how stretchy. This is the fits everybody material. That's how stretchy the material is. But it's not just fits everybody. I find also with the cotton, with the soft lounge, their materials are so stretchy. And so they're so comfortable and so flattering.
If we were living like 20 years ago, I would call this space age material.
It's so true. It's like, this is the material of the future. I actually feel like that's where a lot of Skims R&D is their fabrics. You know, everyone hears me talk about Skims as basics and how they're so perfect. They're perfectly cut. The focus also needs to be on the material. Every single material, even if it's just cotton, 100% cotton, it's superior. The stretch is superior. The way it clings to your body. It's how you want clothes to fit you. Like, even like where it goes in at your waist. You're like, thank you for fitting my body the way I want clothes to fit it.
And it's that time of year.
Oh, yes. That time where maybe you have gifts to buy. And we said before that Skims is the perfect loungewear and that you can also wear it outside. How great a gift is that to get someone something that they could wear at home, also out and about, but also if you just want to stay at home, their pajamas are like butter.
And the best gifts are form and function.
Yes, something you're actually going to use. Otherwise, it just takes up space and you have more stuff. With styles for everyone in the family, Skims Holiday Gift Shop is the destination for all your gifting needs.
Believe the hype. Skims has over 100,000 five-star reviews for a reason.
Skims Holiday Gift Shop is now open at skims.com.
Plus, get free shipping on orders over $75.
After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and then Dear Shandy in the drop-down menu that follows. So the next day, Kat is leading the guys in a yoga class. Turns out this Tayler guy has the hots for her. He's enjoying the view.
Yeah, he's going to become a big player this season, I think.
The date card arrives and it's for Avon and Peter. Apparently, production didn't think either of them deserved their own date. I mean, Avon and Peter have been around for almost since the beginning for Avon, and for Peter, yes, since the beginning. It's just funny that neither of them are worthy of their own one-on-one date.
It's also yes, 100%, but it's also funny that Taylor didn't get a date card.
Oh, totally. But I also
they
think,
rubbed that in. They purposely did that.
So obviously, Avon takes Kylie and Peter takes Sam. So this double date is basically them at a dance party. Turns out Avon is shy about dancing, and this is a concern for Kylie because she wants to make sure.
Kylie is a dancer.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think of that.
She's a dancer.
That's what she does.
That's what she does.
She hopes that he can let loose and have fun. As a non-dancer myself, I just want to say that you don't need to dance to let loose and have fun.
You don't need to, but Avon obliged, and he did his best. And I respect it. I thought he did a great job. I mean, it was a little, it was a little jokey, but it was better than I would have done.
I found him so endearing.
So endearing.
And the girls are blindfolded and have to choose their guy, like know who their guy is based on their abs and then kiss them. The highlight is Kylie feeling one guy, a smaller guy, and being like, is this a child? Andy, you enjoyed this so much that you laughed for the next 10 minutes on and off about this.
It was hilarious.
I love that she said it out loud. Like, that's the kind of thing you just think. Just in case.
Oh, that was great.
Peter and Sam chat. He says he wants to explore their paradise. He says it's our paradise. I thought this was so sweet. They have super cute banter and vibe together. I just feel robbed of seeing more time with them, frankly.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah. Avon and Kylie, meanwhile, he says he's falling for her. She says she's falling for him too. They make out. I mean, it's very
very nice. That's nice.
It's nice.
It's nice.
Yes.
Sometimes nice is enough. Yeah. It's just nice.
It's just nice.
It's all nice.
So back at the beach, we learn Mercedes has this unbelievable talent for burp saying things.
Nice,
Kind of blew me away, honestly. I didn't know that
intense.
One could do this. And Blake and Jess play Frisbee. The joke here is that Jess is not very athletic. She's not great at throwing Frisbee. But this ends with a makeout anyway. And they seem very happy together. We hear Jess saying that she's happy. She finally found her person, which of course cues Katie Thurston.
Dun, dun, dun. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Nice. Wednesday's episode.
Yes.
Is it up there?
Yeah, I'll link it right here.
Oh,
and we actually talk about the scene in that episode. But yeah, our Confessions episode with Katie Thurston came out 2 days ago. So if you haven't checked that out, you should. She was a great guest.
She was.
And we learn here that they haven't spoken in a couple of years. And when Blake sees her in his ITM, we get him saying, "What is she doing here? I would have never." I have to point out the good grammar.
I would have never?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have never.
Yeah. It's very accurate.
Very good.
Okay. Katie promptly pulls Blake to chat. Lots of shots of Jess here, but I don't know. I didn't think she seemed too concerned, actually.
She didn't at first.
I think it happened over time.
Sunk in.
Yeah. And they were, of course, keen to capture that. Katie and Blake talk. I'm going to try to plow through this just because I felt like this, I feel like what they were really trying to do is capture a post-breakup conversation between two people who haven't spoken in around 2.5 years or whatever on TV. But I think Katie and Blake are both a little too reasonable to allow something big to come out of this. It was kind of like, honestly, Grocery Joe and Kendall, in that neither of them were going to put on a show.
I agree. It was a little more satisfying than that because I did feel we got a little bit of that. That's a unique situation.
Oh.
I mean, I'll give it to production for trying to set that up.
Oh, okay.
That's a very unique situation. And I could put myself in the shoes of both parties. And it is pretty intense, especially if it's on TV. And I think despite them both trying to sort of keep it together and not show what really would happen in real life, I think we got some glimpses of what would have happened in real life. And I thought it was interesting.
Oh my goodness. You have such a more positive take on this conversation than I do. Huh. No, it's not that I didn't think it was of value. It was more that nothing was really said. And I guess maybe that's what the value was, is that two people who haven't spoken in a long time, it's like, what do you have to say to each other? You're sort of like, oh, I appreciate what we had. Like, I agree. You had no reason to respond to my voice messages. Like, I just wasn't sure if you'd ever heard them. It was just like this sort of back and forth where you're like, where is this going? But you're right. Maybe I'm not appreciating it enough. It was a unique situation.
And I also thought you got an idea of the power dynamic, which I didn't know. I had no idea how their relationship ended, to be honest with you. And now I feel like I do know.
Yeah.
I have a better idea just because of the
so who do you think was in?
I think Katie was the instigator of the end of that.
Oh, 100. She was.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know.
Yeah. And then she started dating John
I don't know who that
Percy very shortly thereafter.
Oh, right. We talked about this.
Yeah. She mentioned that on our episode with her, actually. Okay. So we get a back and forth between Jess starting to spiral. Very cute shot here of Rachel chatting with Jess just about how she's feeling.
Yeah.
Rachel's a very good friend.
Yeah, she is.
She's really like, I am just coming around with Rachel on this season, I have to tell you. And Jess complains that she already has an engagement dress packed and she just wants to be in love. Sorry. I shouldn't laugh at this, but something about that was funny. I mean, I packed for the Bachelor, so apparently I did the same. Although apparently your engagement dress is you're styled for that.
Yeah. It's like
if you make it to the end.
It's kind of like packing a funeral suit in your airplane luggage.
Oh, wait, heading where?
Anywhere.
This conversation with Katie and Blake pretty much wraps with her saying she's happy to see him. He smiles. In her ITM, Katie is asked if she still loves him, and she cries. They hug it out. She leaves. There's a lot of suspense here, but I don't know. I found this to be kind of unsatisfying.
I'll tell you something. There's something going on here. You don't appreciate this scene because you've never been viciously dumped in that kind of situation. I think that's what it is. I resonate with that more than you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I've been in the shoes of both. You've only been in the shoes of Katie.
Oh, so did you see yourself in Blake in this
I
conversation?
could feel what Blake was feeling. Oh. I know that situation. I mean, not exactly, but similar, sort of.
Wow.
I think it's possible because I'm usually not the feeling guy.
Yeah,
and if
you're
I
not.
feel
Normally,
more than,
I'm the feeling person.
If I feel more than you, it just means it's experiential. So I've experienced his position, and you really haven't.
Yeah, I think it's possible I'm looking at this too much through an analytical lens. Like, well, what was said? What did they say to each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I mean, if I really, really loved you, if this was true, like the greatest love of all time, I would break up with you and commit to it, and then get back together with you to let you have the life experience of being broken up with.
No, I mean, I've been broken up with, but just not.
Your
not
breakups are weak. I know about your breakups. They're not real. They're weak breakups.
But I mean, they still count.
You weren't devastated. They were short-term little things.
Yeah, I wasn't. I haven't. Yeah, okay, sure.
I'm not. Look, you should be happy that well, sort of depends. Going through pain shows you the light.
So you're gonna break up with me?
I'm gonna have to break up with you.
This?
Yeah, it's gonna.
So I have a full spectrum of experience.
Yes, but you have to understand the whole time it's because I love you so much. I just want you to experience life to the fullest.
So Katie and Blake walk back in with the group now, and it looks like Blake was forced to do this.
Yeah.
Like he's like dragging his feet, and I swear he's like grumbling curse words. Katie tells some jokes to the group, and everyone seems confused as to why she's there. It turns out she's hosting a Paradise Roast, another page taken out of the BIP Canada playbook. So the Paradise Roast that evening, Katie, I gotta say, she's funny.
She's funny.
She tells two jokes here, one of which is pretty funny, which is that the show is so stupid it makes John Henry look smart, and one that's legitimately funny, like we both laughed out loud, which was, it's no surprise Jess's name is Baby Jess. Blake used to make her call him Daddy.
And that's where the funny jokes ended.
Yes, this was pretty painful. I gotta tell you, on Bachelor in Paradise Canada, it was much funnier than this.
Much funnier.
Yeah, I was one of the judges, and I was laughing the whole time. Cringing a bit, but mostly laughing.
What they missed in this was that if you're going to go offensive, you have to match it with funniness.
Yes.
It has to be at least matched with cleverness. I think that there was a real misunderstanding of either how to tell a joke or what a roast is, because it's not just insulting someone. It was really awkward. It's like nothing was funny.
Yeah.
There wasn't even anything close to being funny.
The only halfway decent one was Avon doing an impression of Rachel.
Yes, but that was an impression and it was good.
Yeah.
Until he stopped committing to it, it was perfect.
Yeah, and it was just it was more wholesome.
It's also easy. It's an easy one. It's a little easy.
So obviously there are a lot of cat jokes here, and all the Baby Jess jokes. I do find it personally very funny when like a bunch of 28-year-olds are making fun of someone for being 24.
Yes, thank you.
That's something you only do in your 20s.
Yes.
The two that really made me cringe the most were both delivered by men about the women that they were supposed to be interested in dating. So Tayler and Mercedes, he jokes that she thinks she's a Mercedes when she's really a bleep.
I mean,
what do we think he said here?
Well, okay, I know what he said. I don't know exactly what he said. He said an inferior car brand.
But why couldn't
And they had to bleep it because they're not allowed to diss another brand on TV. It's got to be. I thought about this a lot.
They said Netflix earlier.
No. But Netflix, they said in a colloquial way. Netflix is, we already talked about this. It's a household name. It's public domain.
Okay.
Netflix is
and
a
they
verb
And they
now.
weren't insulting it.
They weren't insulting it. As a matter of fact, he was talking about his life dream is to watch Netflix. It's an ad for Netflix. They were psyched about that. But Mercedes is clearly, Mercedes is synonymous with like the Actually, Mercedes is close to household name. You say the Mercedes of, or the Cadillac. Cadillac is closer.
Maybe it's-
But anyway, Mercedes is a great car, and he said a shitty car. I don't know. I don't want to say the name of the car because I don't know what it is. It's one of like 3 or 4 different car brands.
All
It
right.
was like Hyundai or something. I don't know. It was
Okay.
some car brand that's not Mercedes. It's the whatever the opposite of Mercedes is. That was what he was calling her, and it was the tiniest bit funny if you heard the name of the car. The tiniest bit funny, but so mean.
It's so mean. That's the thing. He's dating her.
But it's
if a guy said that about me, I would break up with him immediately.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't care if it's a roast.
His offensiveness was at the ceiling. You can't be more offensive. And the funniness was like a 1.
Oh,
it was enough.
at best.
It was just like, if it was someone he didn't know, it could have been like a chuckle. But it was this much funny and this much offensive. It was basically saying, let's break up.
Yes. That's how
It's like,
it
you
felt.
suck.
I don't know how a woman could hear that joke and not feel like, okay, well, like you want to be with a guy who sees you as a Mercedes. That's the whole point.
The joke is literally like, you think you're good, but you actually suck.
Yes.
There's nothing. It's only funny if you don't. No one knows. Like it's like some stranger person. You don't know what's going on, and it's only funny if you hear the name of the car too. So they bleeped out the one thing that's even remotely funny.
For that to come from the person that you have been making out with every day,
Unbelievable.
and the one to give it a run for its money is Tanner. I actually think this one was even worse.
Oh, that was
Tanner
brutal.
says when they'd heard there would be an ex-bachelorette on the beach, they got all excited thinking it would be Gabby.
How was that funny?
Turns out it was Rachel.
How is that funny? What's funny about that?
I'm floored by this. Like, how could he think this was a good call? Especially given the history of that season. Like, it was obvious that a lot of people liked Gabby as Bachelorette better. Like, I just don't think this was funny at all. It was just mean. It was a 0 on the funny.
3 things. 1, it shows that he doesn't really care much about Rachel. 2, he's very unself-aware. And 3, he's not funny.
And 4, he doesn't know her. That comes back to like his dream of like taking over the world and going home and watching Netflix, whatever, and how it had no specificity to her. Isn't it incredible how the one time he has any specificity about Rachel is to make the meanest joke in an already terribly mean roast?
Which, if anything, is the core of why she was sometimes messy on her season. I think it was the fact that she was up against Gabby.
It's horrible. I cannot imagine having been in her position. And Gabby, of course, is like a jokester. Like she's cracking jokes. Like as like a non-funny person, like I cannot imagine having to compete with that. And Rachel has her strengths. And look, I like to think we've been very fair with Rachel. We've made fun of Rachel, you know, if we feel she deserves it. But I think that she deserves a lot of credit in other ways too.
Here,
yeah, and for us, certainly this season, it's pure redemption. I just cannot see how any guy, any person could make this joke.
Absurd.
This is something someone says on Reddit.
I don't want to vilify anyone too badly on the show.
Yeah.
We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But Tanner is really like as far as I'm concerned, he has to prove himself when it comes to a sense of humor. That was one of the worst jokes I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I felt like I got a gut punch for her. Can you imagine how it felt for her? And it was
Do you
filmed.
know what I was impressed with? I was impressed with her reaction. I don't know if they edited it, but she took it well.
She
You know
did.
what it did? It made Tyler's joke look funny. It made him look like a pro stand-up comedian.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this ends tensely, unsurprisingly. It's actually kind of funny at the bar later that night. Kat is going to person by person being like, tell me you're sorry. Tell me you're sorry. Tell me you're sorry. And meanwhile, Rachel is caught by hidden camera crying. And Andy, you said that roast was so unfunny that the aftermath is somehow funnier. And this was like kind of dark, but it's true.
It was like an Arrested Development scene where they like have to like, let's do a roast.
Yeah.
And everyone does roast and not one joke lands and it's all just terrible insults. And afterwards, everyone's like, geez, that was horrible.
Yeah.
It's like literally a sitcom setup.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
So the next day, all the women are upset, pretty much, and I think rightfully so. And now we have our rose ceremony cocktail party. Lots of suspense leading up to this conversation between Blake and Jess. And heading into it, and I'm going to go in detail here, because Blake in his ITM says that he spent less time with Katie, but understood the love he felt. And he said way more time with Jess. He should have felt it by now.
Ooh.
But something that did not come out of his mouth fully was, so in the conversation on a daybed, he says, I feel like, we see that coming out. And then Frankenbitten in is, I've had a real taste of what love is here. And then we cut to him again. We can see him again. I feel like we're not getting there at all.
Yeah.
So I do not think he said this to her. That would be cruel.
But I think the meaning production inserted actually exists. I
I
think what
agree.
happened was, and I've had this in my life too, where you meet someone that you're no longer with and you don't want to be with them anymore. It's over.
Yeah.
You know it's over, but you still like them as
Yeah.
a person. And you meet them with someone you're dating
Yeah.
and you're like,
Oh.
yeah, no, this is not going to work.
Yeah. Even if you don't necessarily
No,
want that
no
other
feelings.
thing. Yeah.
Just the remembrance of the feeling you had when you
Mhm.
met someone you actually really resonated with.
Well, honestly, when I went on The Bachelor, it was kind of like that. I had been broken up with my
Yeah.
ex, and it happens to a lot of people, by the way. You go on The Bachelor, and there were things about Juan Pablo I really liked, but ultimately what it really brought into focus was what I was missing and what I did have in my past relationship.
It gave you the signposts.
Yes, the signposts of what you
of
about what you were.
love.
Okay, well, Andy, that's where this episode ends.
Oh.
Do you want to talk about your AA game? Who wins?
Jordan.
Okay, I stand by that. And I love his there's an old school chivalrous, like kind of like gentlemanly, but still like boyish way about him.
Yeah.
I feel like he respects women,
Tremendously.
which I am sorry to say I am not getting from every guy here. Okay, and finally, Andy, who would we go for? Not Jess?
I would go for Jess.
Okay.
Um
I mean, I thought overall she handled the stuff with Katie very well.
No, she did. I would go for Jess. There's something about Jess I'm missing. I
Oh, you
want
sound
more.
like- you sound
I
like-
want more like, you know what I want? I want more like Blake.
Yeah.
I want more.
You want more.
I want to go where the people go. I want to see what they
You want to see him.
dancing, swimming,
No, walking around on those.
streets.
Yes.
Wow,
Okay.
this is total goes.
Up where they.
Run,
Okay.
walk,
Yeah. Up where they.
run,
Up where they.
stand around in the sun. Is that right?
Close enough.
Okay.
Maybe that's the next thing you should prepare for everyone, Andy.
Oh, I'm not a huge fan of that song.
This, oh, by the way, is a reference to, I think it was Zach's finale recap when we sang A Whole New World. I'll link that here. But I understand. Part of your world is not necessarily the most melodic of all of them.
Yeah. I need a strong melody.
Okay. Well, it's nostalgic for some of us. Unsurprisingly, I would still go for Blake.
Loyal to the end.
Jordan is in second, though. I find him very charming.
All right.
And a gentleman.
I
Why is
agree.
that so hard to find?
I agree.
Okay, that's a wrap, Andy. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram, and
TikTok,
leave us Apple and
Spotify.
podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.